What's up, guys? Ben here, bringing you another video today. Today's video was supposed to be the beginning of the Champs Team preview series. We're going to kick that down starting tomorrow. And today we have to talk about the Jacob Hale article in regards to Call of Duty League and the exclusivity deal around YouTube coming up. Supposedly it's now 100% going to happen. So let's talk about the pros and cons to give you guys the full skinny, no bias here. Let's dive in. All right, off the rip of this, I want to say that my goal with this video is to present all kind of sides of this, the pros and the cons. I'll offer my personal opinion and what it means to my stream at the end of the video, but my goal is to kind of present sort of the pros and cons to you guys so you can come to your own conclusion. All right, so if we scroll down here, let's talk about the details of the deal. According to this sort of sources, the Call of Duty League is signing a new deal for matches to be streamed exclusively on YouTube starting with next season. We had a 3-year exclusivity deal with YouTube. Obviously that kind of ended at the beginning of last season. We've been on Twitch this season, and as the article points out, like, the viewership numbers have been insane. We're probably going to hit, this will probably be the most watched season of Call of Duty ever. I think it's been helped by just a lot of community growth, the watch parties, just kind of natural people tuning in on Twitch. I think it's just a better discoverability community than YouTube, and we'll get to that, why that's sort of one of the cons on the deal. So according to the article, the Call of Duty League will broadcast on YouTube, and it's a 2-year deal starting with next season. So 23-24 and then 24-25. My guess is that this sort of kicks the can on the road for the new administration. Keep in mind, Activision's merging with Microsoft. Once sort of the merger plan has enacted, it's been approved, gone through the regulatory process, the organizations have merged and fully integrated to an extent at this point, they'll be able to make further decisions on whether or not they want this deal, or maybe they early extend, or maybe they go back to Twitch, who knows, but it's 2 years. 2 years of what I assume is a lot of guaranteed revenue. And speaking of the amount of revenue, sort of the original deal, right? The OWL CDL deal that sort of preceded, or sort of 1 year kind of event here on Twitch, was cited in an article to be 160 million over 3 years, which is a lot. Now, I don't know how much of that deal, which also includes some cloud hosting, was actually part of the YouTube side, but that's a lot of revenue. So let's talk about the pros and cons and what this means for the CDL. I think the biggest pro is that this guarantees a lot of money coming in for the league before sponsorships, before any other sources of revenue like merchandise, other investments by Activision. I mean, there's going to be at least $10+ million a year coming in. I don't know the actual number, but I'm trying to give you sort of a range of figures, really in sort of the 8-figure number per year that they're going to be getting in. And my guess is if it's around that number, this is really covering a lot of the operations for the league. It's ensuring, I assume, that we're going to continue to have the same number of events, if not more. Like, a lot of the stuff around the league will exist, and they don't really need to cost cut or trim sort of the schedule down to kind of deal with sort of the current sort of contracting period in Call of Duty. And not just Call of Duty, rather esports as well is kind of going through sort of this winter phase. I think, to me, that's really sort of, if we talk about pros and cons, like, I can't really think of other ones. Like, maybe you could argue that it's going to improve VOD performance on YouTube because they're going to be way easier to sort of carry that viewership over. And it kind of makes the YouTube experience around their channel a little bit more seamless. I guess that's kind of a pro, although we'll get to sort of the con side of it. But I think really the revenue piece is sort of the biggest piece that kind of comes in here. And it's obviously important, right? I think for the CDL, they want to eventually make money and be sort of a positive kind of business unit and not be reliant on money coming in from Activision just being a marketing expense of, what is the yearly's biggest entertainment release. That obviously is not an ideal situation. You want to have some leverage internal and be able to kind of have your own sort of sphere where you're not reliant on other parts of the business, the corporation pumping money in. I want to get to sort of what's sort of in the gray area, which is the watch parties. So I haven't really talked, for the sake of sort of stuff on here, I don't really know what the specifics of this deal are. Before I did this, I texted Tommy. He doesn't know either. And I think him and I have a lot to discuss, as well as I think the Optic guys have a lot to discuss about what it means for the watch parties. I put this in a gray area because if there's like a carve out, like a way for us to be able to be on Twitch and YouTube, or just do our watch parties on Twitch, I don't know if it's a pro or a con yet. I think it's important that we continue in some form this kind of way of community interaction. I think Tom and I have enjoyed going to events and participating, but I really don't know what this deal means for that. I don't necessarily want to put it in the cons column yet because I don't really have enough information to tell you like 100% we can't do watch parties because no one's really talked to us yet. So more to come there. To me, I think the biggest cons and sort of the biggest issues with this or more around, I think, sort of the YouTube platform. I think Twitch as a platform, discoverability is really, really easy. You go to the Twitch homepage, you kind of see a bunch of carousel of channels. You have recommended channels on your left. You have the channels you follow. You can easily browse categories. Like, trying to find a stream is really easy on Twitch, and we're not really going to have that on YouTube. Like, go to YouTube Gaming, go and try and find a live stream, and you're just not going to get the same experience you do on Twitch. And I feel like some of the growth we've had this season, and I'll give you an example, sort of Parasite and sort of how his stream has blown up, is around that discoverability, right? When Rank Play, again, we go to the Parasite example, when Rank Play blew up, Chris has told me that he's had a lot of non-CDL viewers come in and start watching his stream because they discovered that he was streaming Rank Play. They saw that he was a high rank streamer, and they tuned in. We're going to lose almost all of that functionality if we go to YouTube, and it becomes a educational exercise by teams and leagues of saying, hey, our stream is here. You got to go to this channel to watch it. Go off of Twitch and switch. I think one of the other cons is just going to be really, we're going to see much viewership growth. We're just not going to have viewers migrating over from Twitch. We're going to see a little bit of a dip in the audience, and that's just natural when moving to YouTube. I see a lot of people saying that YouTube is going to kill the CDL in this aspect. Considering that we just had like 3 years of being on YouTube, I don't really know if that's the case. I think it's going to be what COD has always dealt with, periods of exclusivity outside of Twitch on platforms, and it becomes more of a physical event growth exercise, and the viewership stuff is really secondary to that. I think, like, if I'm in the league office, it's like, okay, well, I just think it's an uphill battle, and we're going to continue to try to grow our digital audience. But I think the biggest thing for CDL is making people have FOMO and not attending events. And I think that is going to become a large focus for moving to YouTube. And I think the final con for me is I just think the YouTube chat is just not as good as the Twitch chat. Now, mind you, both chats are kind of whatever. As someone who's, when's and lens spams in the chat, you know how I feel about all of that. I just don't think the YouTube chat functionality is there as far as where Twitch is. So we're going to lose a little bit of that camaraderie and that kind of fun vibing on Twitch. You're just not going to get that on the YouTube chat, and it really kind of is what it is. So I think the player on YouTube is probably a little bit better in terms of quality. I don't really like the having 2 times sort of how the sort of HLS, the client-side buffering, really works on the player. I think the quality when we get to like 4K and plus is a little bit better on YouTube, but even then, I have issues streaming the league on 4K because it just kind of buffers all the time. So I don't know. It's a mixed bag on that front, but it's going to make watching on mobile a little bit better, I guess. The YouTube player on mobile is actually pretty good. And I find performs a little better on Twitch when you get to sort of low bandwidth areas, especially on cell reception. And then obviously it's going to be a little bit easier for people to watch on sort of smart TV devices. There are Twitch apps on a lot of them, but not all of them. So you're going to get a little bit more exposure on smart TV devices on that front. So yeah, I think that's kind of a summary of sort of what I think the pros and cons are of the deal. I think a lot of people probably want to know what it means for me. I think really, I don't know. My viewership has never been high during watch parties, like especially for online matches. I only get a couple of hundred viewers, and everybody honestly goes and watches Tommy's stream, or they go watch Set's stream. And so I don't really like, this doesn't affect me in that area. I think the biggest thing for me, just to be transparent with you guys, on match days is always the coffee and COD window, the couple of hours before matches. When you guys love to tune in, we talk about the matches, we hang out, we vibe before everybody else comes on. I may start streaming earlier in the day to try and maximize that window, and maybe I won't really watch party like whole days. I don't really know what I'm going to do yet, but I don't think it changes the economic model for me like a ton, because I don't really rely on the income during those periods, because y'all are just watching other streams during that time. So, and I don't feel bad about that. Like, you want to go to the bigger community. I just know where my niche is, and I know where like you guys want to tune in, and I'm going to continue to kind of focus on that and not really worry about the watch parties. I will say though, I still really want to go to events, and I'm really hoping that this YouTube exclusivity doesn't prevent us from being able to like be at events next season. I really enjoyed the fact that we've been in every single major. We're going to be at champs. Like, we've been there, we've been with the crowd, we've been interacting. Like, I want to run that back next year because it was a great business adventure for us. I think it really helped with fan engagement. We were able to sell merch, like all the stuff that we want to do and give back to the community. I really hope that this doesn't endanger any of that. Not to go full Apple keynote in this one, but one final thing is, as I was about to finish recording this video, we're starting to see some reactions trickle in. We've had folks like Nameless kind of explain from his perspective. Zinni tweeted 1 step forward, 3 step back. What a shame. I wanted to really focus on Nadeshot's reaction to this, which is kind of interesting. He was replying to a Golden Boy tweet talking about how media rights are important for esports to make money. And I think Golden Boy is correct on that. But Nashot responded, "You will be shocked by how little the CDL is being paid for exclusivity. I promise you the juice isn't worth the squeeze on this one." So I'm very curious to see Matt expand on that. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe to Matt's point, this is sort of in the low 8 figures. It's not some crazy $100 million deal. And it really just kind of covers sort of league operations, and they're just kind of running with that. I guess we'll see, but it sounds like the owners are kind of definitely split on this one. And per the original DeSoto article, if we kind of flick over here, it looks like there is going to be a ownership meeting at CDL Vegas champs. And so I think we'll get a couple of owner statements in the run up to that, and people will kind of give their thoughts on this deal coming in. So yeah, that's my kind of initial thoughts. I'm recording this on in the morning, and I'm gonna go live right after this and kind of probably expand on this some more. But I wanted to record this video and get kind of everything out on video for you guys. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. And as always, guys, we'll see you on the next video.